One of my favorite quotes is that the moral imperative to act is crystallized by the knowledge that action can make a difference. Now, this is a lifelong guide and a gift of my Jesuit education. So you can imagine my surprise when I found out that Google attributes that quote to me. Somewhere far away, there's a Jesuit rolling over and laughing out loud. And hopefully that Jesuit is pleased that I took away so much from my Loyola Marymount education. But that quote is really relevant here today, because this notion of a moral imperative comes to mind because there are 94 communities in 28 states who can report having made progress on at least one of the three areas this campaign has identified as important precursors to reading proficiency by the end of third grade: readiness, attendance, and summer learning. This progress in so many communities is significant, meaningful, and consequential. And it is powerful testimony that action can make a difference, a big difference. With that in mind, we can reaffirm our confidence in and determination to pursue the 2020 goal of the campaign for grade level reading. And as we do that, let's note that the 2020 goal embodies not one, but two aspirations: to move the needle and to close the gap between low-income children and their more affluent peers. Now, none of the 94 communities reporting progress, however substantial, will claim that that progress is sufficient to close the gap. And that is why, as we go forward, we will try even harder to hold ourselves and each other accountable for moving the needle fast enough, far enough, and at such a steep a trajectory that we will get closer to closing the gap. You will hear us put it in these words: we're going to seek bigger outcomes. We want bigger outcomes to become a mantra of this campaign, a mantra of this movement, and a driving force as we go forward. We will stay the course and pursue bigger outcomes. That means we will double down on readiness, on attendance, and on summer learning. And we will unpack and unbundle all three to identify the drivers of depressed outcomes and the determinants of improved outcomes. We will lift up two of the major determinants of early learning, early literacy, and early school success. We will lift up parents and health. And let me say a word about parents, because when we talk about parents, I recall the admonition or the attribute to Winston Churchill. Americans will always do what's right, but only after they've tried everything else. We are getting to parents because we have literally tried everything else. And we understand that children who show up to school with undetected, underdiagnosed, untreated social and emotional challenges, physical ailments, developmental delays, vision, hearing, and dental issues, we understand that those children are in serious trouble. We know that poor attendance is driven often by poor health, and we know that summer is a delicate dance between opportunity and risk, and for too many children, that risk is magnified by malnutrition and no access to the support that we have, as a policy, made possible for them. We will prioritize the most vulnerable children and start with children and families in public housing. We will enlist new and existing and emerging technologies in a new generation of high-touch, high-tech interventions to improve efficacy, to extend reach and coverage, and to disrupt the current time and resource intensive and mostly unsuccessful process of moving even the most promising programs from pilot to scale. We will commit to learning how to do all that without recreating the silos and the fragmentation that is so pervasive, endemic, and corrosive to the efforts in which we invest so much time, so much money, so much talent, so much sweat equity, and so much faith. We have learned together and accomplished together much over the past several years, and this affords me considerable confidence in this network of funders, of program partners, of sector leaders, so many of whom are in this room right here today. We have seen this network work to spread what works. Lunch in the Library started in California, funded by the David and Lucille Packard Foundation. In this network, it has migrated to Georgia and to North Carolina and to many places in between. Georgia's Talk With Me Baby, which is a linchpin of the Get Georgia Reading campaign, inspired by Dana Susskind, is migrating to Arizona, and rumor has it to Iowa. Arizona's innovative data mapping tools are being shared with Denver, Colorado, and Denver is sharing its data mining opportunity quartile initiative with us all. Vroom has moved from South Seattle to Sarasota to cities, communities, and states around the country and beyond our borders. Imagination Library is spreading statewide in West Virginia and Arkansas and taking off like wildfire here in DC and other places. ARP Experience Score has gone into Buffalo, Austin, and Sacramento with its validation grant from the Social Innovation Fund. Minnesota Reading Corps is coming to all of us with Santa Cruz, with Oakland, and with, I think, about half of the grade level reading communities. Vision to Learn has gone from Los Angeles to Dubuque, is exploring Maryland and half a dozen other states. Springfield's Massachusetts Walking School Bus is now a celebrated program in Oakland. We have seen this network work to take the most promising and to move it around. That process today is idiosyncratic. It is episodic. We think this network can make it strategic. Many of the partners who have joined More Hopeful Futures have already pledged to work toward greater alignment, linkage, and integration, and where possible, to bundle already promising programs to ensure less fragmentation and more impact. Our 5 founding partners, America's Promise, Council for a Strong America, National Civic League, National League of Cities, and United Way Worldwide, have been joined by 60 other sector-leading organizations and affiliate networks, and the big change movements such as Too Small to Fail, Strive Together, Ready by 21, and the Coalition for Community Schools. Our 3 original investors, Annie E. Casey Foundation, the David and Lucille Packard Foundation, and the formerly anonymous foundation now known as Wellspring Advisors, have been joined by more than a dozen other enterprise investors, and even more importantly, and when you say more importantly, after calling out your enterprise investors, you know you are on very thin ice. But even more importantly, by over 200 family foundations, community foundations, United Ways, corporate given programs, and private foundations in communities all around the country, who invest millions and millions of dollars to support local campaigns in these 240 communities across the nation. All this explains why we are so confident that this network can find the way to make promising practices the common practice, to develop effective data-rich, technology-enhanced early warning and response systems so that we know when children are falling off the course and moving away from the pathway that will take them to school readiness, to good attendance, and to enrich summer learning. We know this network can forge collaborative approaches to design, to development, and can promote the rapid replication of innovative solutions. We know that within this network, there are organizations and institutions and funders who can join forces to take chances, to push boundaries, to explore new frontiers of promise. And as in the process of doing so, can hold on to that co-design framework that energize the community solution action plans for civic action. This must be our continuing and collective guide to make the effort and take the time to describe and name the problem, to ensure and build consensus around the desired result, to map from that result to chart the plan of action and the path forward, to commit to drive with data, by turning data holders into data sharers, to build a big table and an even bigger tent, to invest in developing the capacities and nurturing the relationships we need for success. Look around this room. Look around this room. We have in this room the talent, the capacity, the relationships, the resources to produce the bigger outcome our kids deserve. So the question is, do we have the will to work harder, to dig deeper, to spend the extra hour, the extra day, the extra week, the extra month, the extra year, to do what we know has to be done, to accept the challenge put to us by Kyle Zimmer and Yasmina Vinci and Cal Orozco. That is the challenge. And let me invite Ron Fairchild up, because I want you all, I want everybody in this room to model what I'm going to say to Ron. And I want you to turn to the person on your left and the person on your right, and you say, well done, thank you, now let's get to work.